You crazy mother. Yeah.
It's just BurnEye.
Hey, Bernie, just like last week, huh?
Weekend at Bernie's.
Of what we see here between Bert and Ernie with the monoatomics as well as the both colloidal as well as ionic material in that jar, the all white. It's a combination of silver, of zinc, of copper, and of titanium, all four of those metal elements in that reaction. And then to the right there, we see the ice cubes, frozen field forces that is clearly demonstrating structured water, and that in my gold water, my ionic, oops, wrong one, sorry, here we go. The water here that I drink, this ionic gold silver water from the purple monoatomics, and never ever consumed the actual material when it's mixed up, just the water once it's settled and has the dissolved metals in the ionic state. That is what you're looking at in these ice cubes that are frozen and displaying these field forces of exclusion zones between where the bubbles are, and that I have yet to see anyone else demonstrate such structured water as these, and clear evidence that there is some sort of memory, some impression being stored in the water for it to have this self-structuring fields once it freezes, and have the bubbles going into these round fields with exclusion zones between them. Very, very fascinating stuff. And what causes it? Not quite sure yet, but something I'm looking into and trying to develop further. And you can see that all of the different ice cubes, every single one of them, with bubbles in these exclusion zone fields. All right, next up, we have what appears to be almost glowing. Yeah, that's correct, Jason, and it was a magnet that he had suspended over the water to get something similar in it, and the magnetic field from that magnet caused it. Where this is just the water in an ice cube tray with absolutely nothing covering it. Here we go. So you can see right there, just frozen straight out of the ice cube tray, and the lines within it, and then that's what it actually looks like all the way through, and that is just the water itself. No magnets, no copper, nothing suspended in it or around it, just the regular spots that when I put tap water into those ice trays comes out like a normal ice cube, not like that. So here we have some monoatomic silver, monoatomic zinc mixtures that I had previously made, then harvested, and this is the first rinse that I did on them, and I did this rinse during a full moon, and for some reason they seem to glow almost neon-like when I do the rinse during the full moons. It's quite fascinating that it turned to these green and yellow and the bit of the oxidized blue at the bottom more normal, but this activation, yeah, so it's essentially both a monoatomic, a colloidal, as well as diatomic when it's in the blue oxidized state, and the pure white is monoatomic. Extra nano materials at the bottom is what's considered the colloidal, and then the water with the dissolved elements in is called ionic silver, and that's the best quality of silver or water, or from what science has stated. Interesting here, these glitches in the photos, just noticing now. I wonder what's causing those artifacts. Very strange. Here now we have the pink active crystalline state of copper that all metals are able to be turned into, that I discovered from the writings of Sir Isaac Newton, and that he says this pink crystalline state is the final state of the transmutational states of metal elements, and in this pink state is when one metal element can be transmutated from one element into another. And you can see the oxidization at the top, and then this part, the pink part, was submerged in the silver salt water, the electrolyte, getting it into that state. So these are actually nanotubes forming on the inside of the jar. That's not on the outside, and it's from the zinc, and it's these self-organized, self-assembled nanotubes that grow, I suspect, are the same sort of nanotubes that well, are being developed in advanced technologies today, and that I may have discovered a much easier, simpler, and cost-effective method of manufacturing them off of anode sides. Oh, here we got some silver coated wire and then copper wire that I made some coils out of, and I need pure silver. The silver coating just didn't last for my electrolysis experiments that I do. It's a little different than the coils testing for how they last. All right. Now we have something very interesting. This is what happens when I put a drop of my blood in with the reaction of monoatomic silver gold combination being made, and it turns into these crazy little clusters that seem like lifelike little, I don't even know what to call them, little bugs, little somethings, plasmids, I guess, and quite fascinating that way. Here I put in just a tiny little piece. It was like a drop of coagulated blood that was still half alive and half solidified, and then it grew as long as I kept the electricity going into this reaction. Oh, bless you, Provo. Thank you for the support, brother. Appreciate the super chat, my man. And this is why I am kind of petrified of the whole homunculus possibility, because it's like just a tiny little piece of my blood grew into this giant flesh-like organic cluster of cells that almost looks like a fish or something, but it literally 100x'd its size and kept growing in the saline electrolyzed or electrotized um, jar and environment. And that so far, anytime I put a little bit, whether it's a skin flake, a drop of blood, or a little bit of saliva into one of these reactions, it grows exponentially. So yes, I highly suspect, Bob John, homunculus is a real possibility, real thing, and why I have never ever attempted it, because I don't need a little Bernie homunculus running around. And it's just, it's messed up. But yeah. So yeah, that's what happens with a little bit of blood going in, and yeah, fully suspect the homunculus could be a thing. Right? Yeah. Well, it's all monoatomics. That's the thing. Everything breaks down, and that's why the desperates out there that don't fully understand this science, but no, there's something to it. They understand that Ormus is cellular material. It's all your nano material, so that some of them do crazy things like urine drinking, or with their fecal matter, or the starfire stuff. It's extremely messed up, desperate ways of trying to get your own biological Ormus, and that you don't need to do such extremes. You just need a drop of your blood into the electrolysis reaction, and it will replicate your amino acids and your nanomaterial for you. So this one, you can also see pinkish. I had just put a drop of my blood in, and then the cloud of silver starts bonding, and at the very top, the white foam starts forming as soon as you put a drop of blood or skin or any sort of your biological material in. Instantly on the cathode side, with the atomic hydrogen that's produced in the electrolysis reaction, a flake of white material attaches and pops up, and it is this replication of your amino acids, of your biological nanomaterial. And it keeps growing and growing, as you see here, and as long as there's electricity going in, it just grows. Here, this reaction, stuff like this, absolutely toxic, and never ever ingest or even touch anything like this. It's so in here there's both aluminum, zinc, and copper, but you can see that it's going into this red active state. You have the pink state on that aluminum foil there, and this yellow, what the alchemists call sulfuric state. Not sure if it actually is. Most likely is not, as it doesn't smell like sulfur, and well, that would just require a massive transmutation of salt into sulfur or metal into sulfur, which not thinking is happening in this. but just going off what the ancient alchemists referred to as the yellow sulfuric state. Okay, we're at the end of that one. Now we shall look at this one. So in this reaction here, you can see the pure monoatomic gold down here. So it's actually got some nano gold that was coming off of the gold anode, as well as the white monoatomic gold, and it absorbed together, kind of bonded, and you have both nano solid gold, aka colloidal gold, mixed or attached with the white monoatomic golds in it. And I was using a silver cathode and a gold anode that you can't see behind it here, and that is white monoatomic silver and gold up top there. Yes, so you need a electrolyte with a small amount of electricity, or you don't even need electricity, you just need a electrical differential between the anode and cathode, or the two metals, or the two pieces of gold or silver that you're using. And what I mean by that is just connecting two wires from each of, whether it's gold or silver, from one piece to the other. The reaction will be slower, but it will still form the monoatomics off of it. And that is how the process is done. And again, now you can see more of the white monoatomic forming, and the jar to the left, more of the pure white monoatomics that I had previously collected, this one being pure silver, the silver with a bit of gray nanomaterial at the bottom, the gold with the gold nanomaterial. So there you can see the little 10-gram bar of gold as it breaks down. Yes, absolutely it does, but it doesn't equate for the amount and consistent reaction that then happens. So here you can see gold bar, silver coin in here, and the pure white monoatomic gold and silver together. And from all of the different alchemical paintings and symbology depicted throughout the ages claiming to show the philosopher's stone, many of them have two snakes or two vines going into a pond, with one of them having a moon as the flower or the head, and the other having the sun as the flower or the head, thus the moon being representing silver, the sun representing gold, and the snake or vine representing your electrical currents. You're going into the reaction of that water, making the philosopher's stone of silver gold monoatomics. That is what I believe to be. So it's a bit more than that, SOA, and that's what I've actually, one of the key discoveries I've made is that it's shedding the silver gold, but it's dissolving into the electrolyte, as well as bonding with the hydrogen and the oxygen atoms that are being formed off of the electrodes, off the anode and cathode, into the reaction. and that you actually get about 10 different states of nanomaterial, like ion elements of the specific element that you're using, and that there are different oxides, different hydroxides, and different isotopes of the specific element, and that they have different electron covalent shells on them, so complete different isotopes and charges, and then also the different geometric structures within the bonding of these little particulate elements, or what's the right word? Particles, I guess, particles of the element, so that you get different plasmids, you get magnetic oxides, you get reactive hydrides, you get the pure monoatomic, you also get the ionic elements within the water, you also get the crystalline nano, what's the right word? The thin sheet, not a sheet, the foil, like the nano crystal lattice metallic structure as well. And so there's about 10 different total potential metastate materials that come out of the reactions, and that that is the crucial key, that these are the potential metamaterials, and as the ancient alchemists stated, the different transmutational states of the elements and how they react. And there's, along with that, a lot of different gases and forms and isotopes of hydrogen and oxygen that also form in these different reactions, depending on the electromagnetic field that you're putting in with your anode and cathode. I've experimented with many different coils, coils within coils within coils, double, triple solenoids, as well as cylinders like a pipe, or whether it is a rectangular sheet style, or whether it's a round coin-like style. Every single geometry actually affects your outcome of the reaction and what sort of nanomaterial is going to form out of these reactions. And the majority of the time, it will just oxidize and waste your metal and become toxic if you don't do the right geometry and field interaction. As well as another aspect of nano coating your anode and cathode, your electrodes, and that is another integral part of the technology, the reactions, and what isotope and nano state material is going to come out of the reaction as well. And on this one here, very fascinating. This is still that gold bar, the 10 gram, 24 karat gold bar. It's got a black nano coating on it now. The silver 2-ounce coin, also a black nano coating. The silver being the cathode, the gold being the anode, but that there's these crystals that have formed off of the gold anode, and it's a pure white, fluffy, hairy, like gold crystal material that grows and collected off of that. and that is yet again another potential metamaterial crystalline nano state of pure gold element. And is it self-arranged monoatomic, or is it something different? And thus, why I need funding for access to microscopes in labs to be able to check the bonding on them and the actual structure of the materials. Here, this picture taken a few days later as the gold crystals continued to grow even larger, and could be gold silver, could be the silver attaching onto it. Not entirely sure, right? But growing off the gold anode. Here we have this crazy dark black gray coating that grew on the as coating on the cathode of a triple copper solenoid cathode here, and another very interesting state of nanomaterial, potentially, well, for those that know, you know what I'm implying, but just for safety purposes, not going to actually say what that potentially could be. And here again, you can see this nice monatomic material forming at the top, and then another layer 2/3 of the way down, and then some more collecting towards the bottom. On this one, you can see the pure gold anode with the gold straight coming off, falling down, and oh yes, Rachel Osborne, I desperately need a good microscope. But so here we have, I had put a drop of blood in, that's why it's reddish, and then the gold nanomaterial that's coming off, and you can see both white monoatomic gold coming, as well as gold colloidal nano gold coming off and mixing in with it, turning into little plasmid nanoclusters. This reaction, copper, triple copper solenoid coil. Shout out Angel Wings. Good to see you, sister. Wishing you a blessed day, and wishing everyone a blessed day and weekend. Thank you all for being here today. And so we got triple copper solenoid cathode, triple copper solenoid anode, and halfway down you get the blue oxidized copper, and 2/3 of the way up you have the CuH3, so copper trihydride. Might be saying that wrong, but yes, it's a hydrate and an oxide, both forming off of the same copper. Ooh, motion. And that it forms these boundaries, these electrical differentials of self-organization, the charge differential, and that the hydride charge versus the oxide charge completely different, and forming the boundary and the separation. Here, this reaction is dried down. I let dry out, but showing to preserve the nanotube structures that form, and be able to take some samples of it, and that all of this material, you got the red state, the yellow state, the white state, the blue state, some pink state, and some state that is that's oxidized iron there, but that you get all the different colored transmutational states that come off and self-organize into these different structures, nanotubes, and layers of different hydrides, oxides, and isotopes of the original elements. And oh, bless your soul, sister. Thank you for your continued support, my friend, and appreciate everyone that's able to support this work. And yeah, figured it's time I start sharing and showing a bit of what I've been working on. And explaining more of it. This just being a piece of zinc that was originally an anode, I isolated, oxidized some yellow down there, blue states. Can't actually see in that picture, but it turned bluish. Here we got more pure monoatomic. I believe that one is silver and zinc harvested. And the point of all of it is that each element, and that I've separately, independently gone and run with distilled water using a pure zinc anode and a pure zinc cathode. Distilled water with a pure copper anode and a pure copper cathode. With the pure gold anode, pure gold cathode, pure silver anode, pure silver cathode, and so forth, including with bismuth, including with iron, including with titanium, and several other metal elements. Point being, every single one of them, I have been able to create these 7 colored states that the Sir Isaac Newton and the other ancient alchemists speak of, and isolated it in the white state, the blue state, the pink state, the red state, the yellow state, the black state. And every single metal element goes into these different states. Oh, as well as aluminum here. So this is aluminum and copper and silver and copper, and that all 3 of these metals, both the silver you can see, the copper you can see, and the aluminum, all in the both the pink and red activated states, and that's in a sealed jar, and that jar has been sealed for a couple, probably 4 or 5 years now, actually. And that there's also the yellow state, a thin line of the white state, and then the blue state of metal elements, and keeping them in this suspended activated state. And that I predict and need to have tests done that this red state could potentially be a superconductive activated state, and that it is a hydrogen or hydride potentially reaction and compound of the elements, and that it is a cold temperature but hot energy active state, and that they all this talk about the red states or superconducting states of when you get a metal hot enough, it turns red and glows. And here I'm able to get these metals into this cold red state that is potentially a superconductive and reactive, energy reactive state. And that you can see here going into this red stuff. And another thing that when I dry out this red material and put it onto, yeah, you got it. So when I put this red material onto aluminum foil, it spontaneously combusted when I applied pressure to it, and literally burnt and became extremely hot. So it's some sort of very reactive hydride, and is that potentially also the red mercurial state, red mercury, that we hear so many rumors about? And I highly suspect I would be able to get mercury, and that's why I need some mercury to experiment with, into this red activated state, as well as I suspect that by dissolving or amalgamating these other metals in this red state into mercury would also activate it and turn it into a red mercury as well. And then is it a cold plasma? I suspect so, and potentially. Um, and then what is the yellow state that they claim is sulfuric? Like they claim it's the sulfur state. And it doesn't smell like sulfur, but it's definitely this yellow reactive state as well. It definitely is, and you can see like that they're kind of polarized opposites, and that it's definitely charge separated. Now in this jar, you can see the gold foil that formed, and it was covering the entire inside of the um, bottle, but now you can see a lot of the gold foil resting on the bottom, right there, right? You can see the little chunks of it in the bottom, and that it has fallen off, but it's gold, pure nano gold foil, straight nano material, straight pure gold, that I had super saturated the water with the pure gold, and then as it settled, it bonded with the solid inside glass and formed into this nano layer of solid gold metal foil, along with the purple plasmid gold at the bottom. This reaction, pink-red state, both iron and copper, and that there had been this white nanotube that had grown from the waterline of the coil down to the base, and then it broke when I had to move the bottle at one point. But very interesting self-growth, self-organization. Here we have some copper in this pink-red suspended activated state. More red, pink, copper at the bottom that's fallen off, and then it's got this purple, black, and teal, depending on if it's intruding out or in of the water line in this sealed jar, but that this purple red material, as well as the green blue oxidized, formed a solid nano layer sealing the water from the air in the jar, and keeping this activation of the red state going on. Very interesting. And I've moved this jar. This has been sealed for about 8 years now. I've moved it 3 or 4 times. Each time I move it, the bubbles broke, and then they resealed themselves again. So like right here, this indentation was where the water had broken through when I moved it, and then it grew another patch to reseal the air pocket from the exposure of the top air to the water. And again, you can see this red state, more white, more purple, and again, the aluminum in the pink and red states, the silver coin in the pink and red states, and the copper in the pink and red activated states. Oh yes, sister, 100%. They will, and that's the next key aspect to what how I want to advance my experiments and develop the processes further. 100% a key part of what I aim to do with it. All right, let's look. What else do we got? Going. So I guess quickly show here the black nano coating state that happens. And there you've got like a white plasma glowing, the red pink state underneath the black coating. And on this one, you've got some of the red pink, and then the white metallic state when it's on the metal is actually a decay, and the ancient alchemists call it the calcification, and it is definitely corroding and decaying aspect of the reactions, and that it actually is extremely, I guess, acidic, like it will burn. It feels hot, but it is not. But very interesting reaction as well. Yes, Bob, these are definitely all coils that I'm showing a lot of. And yeah, there's so much more to the coil technology and what we're actually looking at. Here you can see a thin exclusion line of clear water between the very top of the monoatomics and the now starting to settle monatomic material. Now you can see the white corrosive breaking through more on that one and more on this coil as well. So this is monoatomic on the outside, so that's not this calcification. That's actually a layer being coated on the cathode coil, not the anode breaking down. And then starts going into a yellow, what they call that sulfuric state again. And that you can get so many different colored particles and reactions, hydrides and oxides, all on the exact same elements and electrode at once, is what becomes very fascinating. And you can see on this anode the bubbles, which are oxygen, and why another aspect of putting the solenoid coils in with the electrical charge, thus creating electromagnetic fields, and oxygen being magnetic and thus being held to the coil from the magnetic field, electromagnetic field being formed from the solenoid coils. Then we have the self organization, the spiral of material happens quite often. almost all the time when mixing new water in. Again, you can see it spiraling. That is one aspect, and I don't put blood into everything. That's just in some experiments. The vast majority I'm not putting my blood into. But yes, so the point of it, yeah, is you then, once you make the nanomaterial, the monoatomics with your amino acid that is attached to it, you coat your coil in it as a nano coating, and then the plasmatic fields that comes out of that coil also has your biological field included into it. And that is, yeah, the purpose and what the supposed portion of it is. All right, here is a prime example of what I was just talking about, of the anode with all of the oxygen being attached to it and stuck to it from that magnetic, well, the force of the magnetism of the electromagnetic field being created from the triple solenoid with the 5 volts of electricity going through it. Yes, I'm doing 5 volts of electricity just from a basic USB charger. Lots of the different coil types that I've made, some nano-coated, some oxidized, and different configurations. Showing the aluminum, copper, more of the spirals of the self-organization. Kind of. Nope, definitely no dead mouse in any of them. And yeah, no, I even do my best to avoid flies going into it for the same reason of then it's their biological nanomaterial that is being reproduced off the cathode side. Here we have copper anode and silver cathode, and the white monoatomic silver cloud being formed around it. Here showing the blue oxidized copper here. As soon as put into a jar that is in the yellow state, everything instantly becomes a yellow. Here's the silver monoatomic clouds growing in size as the days passed on. Here we have a pure copper anode that was in the red, white, and blue state simultaneously. Red, white, and blue. There's more to it than meets the eye, gotta say. Yes, 100% SOA. That's the next step of what I'm looking to do, and that the cymatics is a specific part of my thesis in advancing the cold fusion and transmutation of elements once they're in the pink crystalline state. All right, what else was I gonna show here? As we're almost an hour in, time sure flies. Okay, what else do we got to look at? Some more of the red state, okay. So here we have this one being a primest example of, oops, just harvest pure red state. A bit more of the red state with white being formed. Here we got the silver, red state and blue state, copper with the red state, a little bit blue state, and here red. And so just crucially point out, none of those have my blood in it. Okay, these experiments, none of it. This one, I think I put a hair follicle in, and that's why it's bubbling up with the amino acids in it. But none of those jars had any blood or anything else, just straight up red state material. In this reaction, we got triple coil, copper coil cathode, and triple coil, copper coil anode. And you can see the cloud of monoatomic copper forming. In this reaction, the two double coils, some of the yellow state forming, and the blue oxidized state forming. And now, in this reaction, the same two coils, you can see the red crystalline state completely covering, growing off of the one coil. That is, I believe, the cathode actually. And in that pink red active state that Isaac Newton speaks of, that I theorize being this metamaterial potential superconductive and transmutational potential of these metals. And that all of these little dots there, those aren't bubbles, those are actual sparkles of glistening, because the copper is actually in this crystal shape that reflects light. It's quite wild. Here we got more of the red state metals, and both copper, aluminum, and copper and iron in that red state, copper and blue state. So here's that one jar I was showing you with the silver coins, the aluminum, and the copper from about a year earlier, while it was still making the white monoatomic and just starting to get into that pink red state activation. Here again, this one being iron and copper coil, and in that pink and red state with all of these little white glistenings. Those aren't bubbles, those are actually crystals reflecting light. So that is all little microcrystals you're seeing there. Again, the pink states, silver coin, copper coil, here with a piece of quartz in it, another mineral rock, seeing if it had any effect on them, which it does not appear to. Here, silver, copper coils, sealed jars. This one's very interesting. This is a giant triple copper coil within a coil, but also one layer of the triple solenoid was an aluminum wire, and it grew this giant like casing on it with some of the yellow state, the blue state, but then bleeding out of it was the red pink crystalline state of stuff, and just coming straight out of the top of it, like very, very strange, and almost like it was alive. Shout out, Brendan. Good to see you, brother. Hope you're well. And yeah, definitely. And once again, all of this stuff, anything that's blue or yellow or potentially the reds, all highly toxic, very heavy metal, poisonous, will absorb into your skin as it's nanomaterial. You do not want to consume or even contact the majority of this material, as it will poison you. Here we have copper in the green state, the copper coil, green and white. Almost looks like it came alive. And that as well, sometimes the reactions turn extremely acidic and sometimes they turn extremely alkaline. And that is something I've started recording and testing a whole lot more, and will be publishing more details on very soon. But for the time being, it's proprietary. So just letting you know, very careful with waters that you form with this stuff, because, well, you could be then touching or thinking your magic water is magic, but in fact, you're drinking pure acid or pure base, right? Which just not what you want inside of you, or touching your flesh. Here's a copper coil. You can see copper almost turning gold-like, but still copperish, and then both the red and blue state simultaneously. Here we have copper in a pure green state, as well as the red and the blue states. Green, blue, red, red, all just pure copper in these different oxidized and hydroxide states. All right, so that's the end of that photo gallery. From the Rosicrucian order, I've shown it a few times before, and they're showing how many times vibrations per second and your octave scale and what you're getting out of it. Everything is vibration, and here we have our colors, our light, and yeah, bang on with what they were discussing. Shout out to Demystify Sci, shout out to Terrence Howard, and hopefully one day I'll have the pleasure of talking with him, and should be doing an episode with Demystify Sci again here within the next month or so. Finish off tonight's stream showing pure monoatomic silver being formed, coming down off of two pure 2-ounce silver coins attached to each other with pressure and a small little copper wire separating them, and no electricity going in, just the self-organization or what am I looking to say here? The ability, the self-stabilization or equalization that forms between the two with the electrical differential of the wire, separating them and their depths into the electrolyte, forms that small electrical differential, which then causes the movement of the electrons and then the particles and this reaction to happen. And yeah, with that note, love you all. Thank you all for being here tonight. And thank you so much, both Angel Wings, for your support and the renewal donation and renewal of membership, as well as of Provo $2 super chat. Appreciate it. And thank you so much, Conscious Content, for the $20 PayPal donation. I guess that's excellent news. Yesterday, my PayPal link was not working whatsoever, and I guess tonight it is. So thank you for the support, and anyone else willing and able, if you are want to support my work in this channel, you now apparently can again donate to me through my PayPal link. And yeah, appreciate it, everyone. Thank you all. Have a blessed rest of your weekend, and hopefully see you all in the next one. Ta ta.
You crazy mother. Yeah.
It's just burning!